Excellent. Well, Dan Kotowski, CEO of Kids Above All, it is so great to be able to talk with you today. Thanks for coming over to Chipman Design.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here, Lauren. Really appreciate our partnership that we have with Chipman Design and with you, and grateful for your leadership. The holidays are going to be really special for our kids at Kids Above All because your willingness at Chipman Design to embrace them and to raise much awareness about kids who've been affected by poverty, violence, and injustice so they can have the best life possible.
Excellent. And so, the thing that I really appreciate about your organization and the reason that we're excited to partner together, not only for the holiday season, but looking forward is all of the services that you provide and your real commitment to growing a community that is supported and really being able to kind of fill some of those cracks. I was wondering if you can tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. When we at Kids Above All, when we talk about every child should have the opportunity to achieve their full potential, to be protected, safe, and achieve their full potential. And we say every opportunity, what we mean is through early childhood education and development. Everything from home visiting, doula services, home-based daycare, to housing for young adults who are homeless, teenagers, kids, making sure young kids who are affected by abuse and neglect are adopted, have a safe, stable, loving home, and then counseling programs. And there's a lot of kids who are struggling right now in our country. They're battling with depression and anxiety that's caused by trauma. And we make sure we provide all of these services to make sure they begin healing and managing these challenges so they can be able to grapple with it and be able to not just function well at school, but able to secure jobs later on in life and have good quality relationships.
Excellent. I mean, our values align so much, and it's really about building stronger communities together. So thanks so much for being here today.
Oh, awesome. Thank you for having me here.
Excellent. So, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about kind of what are some of the biggest challenges that children and young adults are experiencing today, and how is KAA addressing them?
So right now, the greatest challenge that we face, not just here, but in our country when it comes to kids, is that innocent children are being treated as if they're third-class citizens. They're being faced with brutal actions and decisions by people in positions of power. And so what do we do at Kids Above All? How do we respond to that? Well, we make sure we get people as many people involved as possible, like partnering with Chipman Design to raise awareness, because we need all sectors of our economy to solve this problem. And so how do you raise awareness about kids and their challenges? Well, we partner with companies like Chipman Design, or we partner with community groups, organizations involved in the faith community, individuals, families who are stepping up. So at this time of year, for example, there are a lot of kids who are dealing with trauma. So how do we make sure that they have the best holiday possible? So we make sure that we're getting holiday gifts, at least every child in our program has at least 4 gifts, something to learn from, struggle with, play with, and that's been really good, really positive. We make sure the kids are getting the school supplies that they need so they can flourish in an academic environment, and we're making sure we're getting the essential items that any kid and any family needs. So when you look at all the decisions that are being made at the federal level that are cutting services, cutting support, the reality is you can look at this and you can say, well, what are we going to do? Or you can step up collectively and figure out a way to respond and solve the problem. And that's why I'm so excited about our partnership. So Lauren, I know you in your role, and we've had a lot of conversations about what we can do for kids. And that's what I really appreciate about you and your team. How can we get engaged and make a difference? So how is, in your role as the CEO of Chipman Design, how have you embraced opportunities to make a difference in the life of a child and people in the community who are struggling?
Absolutely. My background is in education. I was a former classical musician in Los Angeles. And so, working with children is something that was my day-to-day. And so as I, came into this role at Chipman, I wanted to look at how we can really grow kind of a grassroots support center here. And so, we work with a lot of big corporate clients, and we want to be able to have meaningful contributions at the local level. And so we've partnered with such organizations in the past as My Block, My Hood, My City, a great organization working with some of their young people. And when I was introduced to Kids Above All, I think one of the things that was so striking is a very clear mission of supporting families. And we're both right here in Des Plaines, Illinois. It seemed like a no-brainer to me, and getting the opportunity to tour your facilities, understand how it's not just giving money, but we can really have a hands-on donation service partnership with you is really exciting and something we're looking forward to.
So it sounds like you take your role very seriously when it
Yes.
comes to this. So what would you say to other corporations who are out there? What would you say to other leaders at this time, especially given, what children who've been impacted by poverty and violence and injustice are facing? What would you communicate to them, and what would you ask them to consider doing?
I love that question, Dan. I think one of the big things that we can kind of explore is this idea of starting small. I think a lot of corporations want to raise millions of dollars and have these large impacts, but at the same time, when you start to look that big, I think we lose some of that initial kind of touch points there. And so I think starting small, working in, Lake and Cook and McHenry County, we're able to really see that impact firsthand. And we're able to, I think, invigorate our staff to become more involved, to see that almost immediate payoff of really doing good within the community.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Lauren, because for those who are listening right now, and for those who are excited and inspired by Chipman Design, getting involved with Kids Above All and partnering, one of the things they can think about is like, okay, there's a lot to do, but if you specifically focused on the life of a child, what kind of a meaningful contribution could you make? What would you do for your own children? What would you do for your own family members? So, we have our holiday toy drive coming up, our holiday gift drive, and there's opportunities for people to get engaged, for them to adopt a child who needs the type of support that will make sure they feel good over the holidays. So I appreciate you saying that. And then one of the things I was also thinking about is like, we've had a lot of conversation about you in your career in music as a musician, and how do you incorporate that into your leadership style and your approach at Chipman Design?
It's so funny because it seems like a little bit of a left turn from becoming a classical musician to becoming an architect. And at the same time, I've really come to recognize that my passion was not necessarily playing music. It was really in being an educator, being able to change someone's life, to mentor and grow them, and to create extraordinary experiences. And so in that way, I think I'm actually able to do that even more now with my role here at Chipman and with the kind of partnerships we're able to create with organizations such as yours.
That's great. I was thinking about you recently. As a part of my role at Kids Above All, I actually run a creative writing workshop. But I showed up there a couple weeks ago, and one of the girls in our group homes had a guitar and wanted to show me the guitar. And I said, well, can you play a song? And she said, yes, I can. And then she actually said, actually, no, I can't. I don't know the chords. I said, well, I do. And I started to teach her the chords, just a few chords. And I was to take my marginal at best musical talents to teach her the chords. And we were working on the beginning of a song. And so those little moments, those little gestures. And when you think about partnerships like ours, one of the things I say to people, and they said, well, what's something I could do right away? I said, you could share this partnership, you could share this story of this work with other people. You could join Kids Above All by just following us, right? You could follow Chipman Design and the work you're doing. Just you could like us on social media, you can get engaged, you could be a volunteer, you could decide to be a foster parent, you could just, you could engage your friends and family. Say, have you heard about Kids Above All? Or have you heard about organizations or companies like Chipman Design that are stepping up? Right? We always say at Kids Above All, we're looking for people to step up and stand up for kids. And that's what you're doing. And we hope that other corporations, other community groups, organizations will follow suit.
Absolutely. So I actually have a question for you, Dan. You are the head of this very large organization and you have a really storied political career. And yet you still find time to go and teach those creative writing workshops. Kind of how do you find that balance, and why is it important to you to still have that hands-on experience with the kids?
It's a great question, but I think working directly with our kids gives me the best sense of what they're going through and what they share. They've dealt with an incredible amount of challenges. Some of the kids in our care may have been in multiple foster homes. They may have witnessed violence. They have someone in their family who's been incarcerated. But I see them at moments where they're very vulnerable and they're very creative and very, obviously very human. But like many people don't know that youth in care, the kids that we provide services, they don't really see them. They don't see their humanity, they don't see their struggles, but they don't see their creativity. And they don't see the beauty that they've been able to create out of something that is extraordinarily painful, that they've taken their suffering and they've been able to put it down on paper and provide works of art. And I think to me, it's exceedingly meaningful and inspiring. And it also it tells the story behind the numbers, because we have kids like at our programs who begin in early childhood who may not be able to speak or have trouble moving their arms or things like that, and suddenly they're able to speak and they're moving well. Or we have kids in our program, in our group homes, who were struggling, had been hospitalized due to psychiatric challenges. Now they're going to college, right? And they're doing well in school. Or we have kids who are homeless, who are living on the street, who have a safe place to live and are working at a full-time job. So it's there's a lot of data around there. We impact 4,200 children and families, but it's the stories that are so compelling. It's the humanity. It's getting a sense of the children, who they really are. Because I think sometimes that people have a lot of perceptions that aren't necessarily accurate about kids, because, as we always say, kids are kids. It doesn't matter who they are, what they look like, what their country of origin is. Kids are kids. And when you get a chance to sit down and talk with the kids and connect with them, it's something that's pretty special.
That's amazing. And so as we look towards this holiday season, what are some of your calls to action about how people can get involved, either whether at the local level here with Kids Above All or nationally?
Well, I think first and foremost, I think you go on our website at kidsabovall.org, sign up as a volunteer, get engaged as a volunteer. Also, I think you can go on Amazon. There's an Amazon wish list where people can select a toy or another gift that a kid could benefit from over the holiday season. So I did on Amazon. We also have a Target wish list. So I would say you adopt a child this holiday season. Make sure that they have the best holiday possible. The third thing is get involved over at our Better Life Distribution Center and be a part of a service project. Bring yourself or your family or members of your corporation. I'm looking forward to Chipman Design, bringing some people over to our Better Life Distribution Center, and we can help sort and wrap gifts. That's another thing they can do. But also the other thing is the fourth thing I talked about before, spread the word about Kids Above All. I like to say, while our impact is significant, we need more people to know about who we are so we can make the type of difference that we'd like to make.
Excellent. So Dan, I know you've thought a lot about the future, and so what does KAA look like in the next 5 years, the next 10 years? What are some of your goals for the organization and what you can accomplish?
So Kids Above All's focus, like our three pillars, are early childhood education, safe supportive housing, and counseling programs. And within that, we have home visiting, home-based daycare, foster homes, group homes, housing for young adults facing homelessness, and then counseling to make sure kids are better able to manage their anxiety and their depression caused by trauma. So for our vision over the next 5 years is like, how do we double in impact? Because the need is there. And when I talk about double impact, I am talking about there is a major mental health crisis in our country in terms of accessibility for these services. So we are intensely focusing on making sure that we've hired more therapists, hired more clinicians, and we're working our best to address the need that's out there, because it's one thing to provide a service, making sure that we provide housing or education, but it's another thing if a child is struggling with getting out of bed in the morning, right, or struggling to go to school, or struggling to stay focused. So we may make sure that our kids are starting to heal better. And so we're looking to double our impact, increase our availability of services, mental health. In addition to that, at our Better Life Distribution Center, we are seeking more partnerships with corporations like Chipman Design, who are going to step up and stand up for kids and get engaged in all of our service projects throughout the year, our Healthy Babies Drive, our Back to School Backpack Drive, and our Holiday Gift Drive, and our Winter Clothing Drive, which will be coming up. So that's another area. And then I think about it, in addition to that, I think about how do we make sure that more people are aware of Kids Above All. That's a big part of our plan. And I think a lot of it is spreading the word, not just through social media, but also really advertising our services and our programming. Because the more people who know who we are and what we do, the more people get engaged. I'm not just talking about people who require the services and meeting those needs, but I mean more people get involved and get engaged as donors, supporters, volunteers. Because here's what we're finding out, and here's what we know, and here's something you know already. People are good, people are kind, people are generous. They're just looking for a vehicle to get involved. So that's a lot of our vision. It's marketing, it's expanding our program, it's engaging more people in support at our Better Life Distribution Center, and we're excited about that. So when I say that, when I talk about our vision, I talk about Kids Above All is trying to do their programs, what does that make you think about?
Well, you know,
in terms of your vision and what you're trying to achieve.
Absolutely. Well, and I want to share with you that I was at my local coffee shop in Highwood, Illinois, and I was talking to one of the baristas, and I brought up Kids Above All, and she goes, you know what? My mom works with that organization. She runs a daycare that they support.
No way.
And so I think it's these kinds of conversations, talking with your neighbors, talking within your community, to be able to share the great news and, as you said, not only share who is supporting it, but who you are supporting at the same time.
Right, right. It's such a small world,
Yes.
too. And I think you realize that. So what she had brought up, we have 50 home-based daycare providers, all women-run businesses,
Yep.
and they help each year 800 kids and their parents be lifted out of poverty. 800, that's just one component of what we're doing of the 4,200 children and families that we're impacting every year. So that's great to hear that, because we want to make sure, and overall, really interesting is that that's a program in the United States of America, affordable daycare for people who are going to work in school. It's helped 20 million children in the United States of America get out of poverty. So we're really seeking to solve this problem as it relates to poverty. Remember, building a better life for a child and a family member impacted by poverty, violence, and injustice involves a comprehensive approach. So that gets back to our early childhood safe supportive housing and counseling programs. So I'm glad you shared that story, because I think so much of people need to know what businesses are doing, what they're engaged in, because it's not just what you provide on a daily basis. It's the mission and the causes that you're connected to, because it says a lot about you as a leader and a lot about the people who work here as a company.
Absolutely. So, as we think about what Chipman Design looks like in the next 5 and 10 years, of course, there's all the kinds of corporate impacts that we're thinking about: the economy, AI, what does the future of sustainability look like? But when I think about it in regards to community and service, we're really looking to develop a partnership with an organization like Kids Above All that really we can allow our team members to have kind of a grassroots connection to. And so, like I said before, it's more than just a donation. It's really being able to connect, to put your time in there, and to have an outlet for our team members where they can feel like they are not only contributing to the success of Chipman, of course, while they're working here, but the success of a community as a whole. And so that's something that we're really looking forward to.
So it sounds like your vision is connected to social impact.
Exactly.
And making sure that people feel part of that and they're engaged.
Exactly.
And so when you were talking about your team members and you were talking about people being elevated within, we have the same sort of commitment of making sure that people have a chance to secure promotions within an organization. We've had 35 people promoted from within, which is quite amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's been quite amazing. And then one of the things I think about, I noticed here at Chipman Design how you treat your employees and how you recognize them and how you show appreciation. We strive to do the same thing at Kids Above All. I mean, we make sure that every single one member of our team, that we have premier benefits, we have premier support, premier training, and that everybody is recognized at certain points throughout the year. They're as soon as they start, their birthday, their anniversary, everyone gets a personal phone call from me. Everybody does, because you want people to know and recognize that they are being appreciated and that they are a part of something that's beyond themselves, and that the people actually care. And it sounds like you do the same thing.
It's so interesting because, looking between a for-profit organization, nonprofit organization, people just want to be recognized and be growing into something that matters.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Something that matters, as I say to our team members, I know you could be anywhere else in the world. You could work for any other company, but you decided to come here. So the least we can do is show appreciation and give you every opportunity to be successful and be a part of a mission that is not just that has an impact, but something that is lasting.
Yeah.
And so that's been exciting to see. And I look forward to, speaking of partnerships, I look forward to our partnership.
Absolutely.
For this to be a long-standing partnership and figure out ways in which we can maximize impact, to leverage our resources to make sure more kids and families have what they need to build a better life.
I love that. Sounds like a plan, Dan.
Awesome.
Excellent. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.